So you believe that sales is evil? I need you to explain that to me.
Sales is evil. Think about sales calls. Salespeople trying to sell you something you don't need. No thanks. Slimy tricks and the tactics. The world right now believes sales is evil. In fact, I'll tell you something quickly. Back in the 1960s, they did a study and they found out that 70% of the population believed in salespeople, trusted salespeople. Today, it's less than 10%.
Whoa.
Now, I'll tell you something else. There was a study, an overall study that also went down and said their thoughts on sales. 4 out of 5 human beings trust salespeople. Salespeople don't even trust their own kind. What happened? How did we get here?
You said 4 out of 5 people trust salespeople. You meant
no. 4 out of 5 people do not trust. Yeah. 4 out of 5 do not trust salespeople. And there was reported that even salespeople said they don't trust their own kind. I mean, what world are we living in? It's insanity. Well, and here's the thing. Everyone runs away from sales, selling, but nothing happens until a sale is made.
So what happened? How did we go from over 40 years, almost 50 years? Well, I guess it's 50 years. How did we go from 50 years from the 70s to today? I believe in trust salespeople to get out of my life. Like, I don't want you.
Yeah. So what I believe was happening is somewhere along the way, sales became manipulative, became predatory. It became all about tricks, and then you get guys in the 80s, the early 70s, 80s, 90s, all these sales seminars trying to NLP, all this stuff that I believe is not part of sales. And you got all these fake gurus out there, fake salespeople trying to tell people how to sell, but no one's talking about the number one fundamental thing about selling. It's not about tricks, not about your script, it's not about your offer, it's not about your product, none about that. It's about the human connection. That's it. The ability to connect with humans. Sales is just a transference of energy and connection.
So we're talking with Kayvon Kay, who is the founder of The Sales Connection, and he just admitted that sales is evil.
Sales is evil.
So how do you overcome that? I mean, if your business is selling, I mean, you work with people like me and other people in other industries where you help sell high ticket stuff. So how do you overcome the evil nature of what we're dealing with the fact that it is required to sell? Nothing happens till somebody buys something, and they can't buy it until they're sold.
Absolutely. So because I believe in sales as a connection, right? That's why we have the company was called The Sales Connection. The way we overcome that is, number one, we don't act like salespeople. Don't act like traditional, typical salespeople. Don't be overexcited. Don't be selling features and products. I tell my guys, act like doctors. Ask the right questions. Ask the hard questions. Figure out what their pain really is so that you can actually solve the problem. One of the things that I think makes me different, I'm not one of those guys that says, sell everybody, always be closing. No, I think that's bullshit. Always be connecting. It's a different story.
ABC. But
ABC still exists, but always be connecting. Why? Why would I want to sell someone, the typical sell ice to an Eskimo? Why would I want to sell ice to an Eskimo? An Eskimo doesn't need ice. Or rubbers to a monk. A monk doesn't need rubbers. Why would I sell these things to these people? That's just, to me, it's not congruent. It's not alignment. It's not connection, and it's not human. But me asking you questions and understanding where you're at and understanding what's holding you back and understanding maybe what's in your way, and then finding a way together to get past that and connecting you to what is a service or a product that's going to help you get to your ideal state. That's not selling. That's helping.
So
that's transformation.
So how do you then do what you do? Because you can't just connect your way into a sale, or can you?
No, I mean, it all depends on how good of a salesperson you are. But here, I'll tell you some of the, because we don't have a long time to go too deep into this, but I'll tell you some of the key factors that I think that separates good salespeople from great salespeople. Great salespeople know how to ask the right questions at the right time with finesse, number one. They also understand that it's not just about asking the questions, it's about listening. See, most salespeople do all the talking. The less you talk, the more you sell.
I tell people when I train sales organizations from time to time for my clients. I'm not a sales trainer specifically, but if a client hires me to coach them, I'll sometimes train their salespeople. And one of the things I teach them is the 2/3 rule, is that the client, or the prospect rather, should do 2/3 of the talking during any kind of engagement. So if you look at that, that's 33% of you talking, 66% them talking, which they're talking then twice as much as you. Yeah. If you break it down. So how do you do that? That you have to ask questions, which is what you just said. So how do we build the skill of asking questions so that we don't become an evil?
So here's a telltale. The person who asks the question controls the conversation. The person who controls the conversation controls their commissions. So what I tell my guys is if you're talking to a prospect and they ask 3 questions in a row, you've lost control of the conversation. That's just a simple telltale. So if I'm talking to you and now you're in the driver's seat and you're asking me 3 questions like, well, what's this product about? Well, how can I do this? Or how do I get there? Boom. Automatically, I've lost conversation. Because the person who asks questions controls the conversations. Now, you got to understand, it's not just about asking the questions, asking the right questions. And you only ask questions for really 3 reasons. Number 1 is you're asking questions for discovery, to understand. Number 2, you're asking questions to motivate, to get them motivated. Not motivated just on the product, motivated on the transformation, motivated that they want change. And number 3, you're going to ask questions for pain. Now, there's 3 levels of pain. If we want to get right to it. Yeah, it's all right.
Because I hate the question, what keeps you up at night? Although it's a good question conceptually, it's a terrible question to ask. Or what are your pain points in your business? You can't go there. So how do you ask the pain question?
I love that you said that. Like, what keeps you up at night? Like, how cheesy is that? How typical of a salesperson is that? That's what I was talking about. So people are like, oh, I asked the question. Are you asking the right questions, right? So the way you would go around that stuff is more, you can ask them, okay, let me ask you, what's your number 1 challenge that you're going through right now in your business? Not what's all your challenges. What's the number 1 challenge? Because if you're on the call with me, the way we set up our calls is you've raised your hand because you said, I need help. So if you're coming to me and you're not telling me your number 1 challenge, how am I supposed to help you? So tell me what's going on. I always go, tell me what's going on. What's going on in the business?
Are people honest with you when you ask that question?
Some are, yeah, and some aren't. And when they're not, I call them out on it. Because again, here's the thing. Here's another fundamental rule. It's very important to understand this. When you put yourself first, you'll end up on the bottom. When you put your prospect first, you end up on top. So what does that mean? Back to that question. If I know someone's not holding back, they're holding back. Well, 2 things are happening. Either I'm not doing my job and I'm not creating a safe environment for them to feel safe enough to be open to trust me, or they're scared themselves. They're scared to face their own truths. They're scared to even face the questions I'm asking because they don't want to have the answers, because whatever comes out of their mouth becomes real to them now. So it's my job, right, as a salesperson, to make them feel seen, make them feel heard, and you make them feel right. You got to make them know you, like you, trust you.
Well, I think it's interesting that you just mentioned a couple of things that I also talk about in my sales training. You said, first of all, you got to if you put yourself first, you'll be last. If you put them first, you'll be first. Or if you put them first, you'll be first. Yeah. So like, this just goes back to what Jesus said, the first should be last and last should be first. So there's a good biblical principle there. The other thing is the know, trust factor, which is also becoming more cliche. It's based in reality and true, but it is so true. And that goes also to something that interestingly enough, Jesus taught about, hey, if you're going to go from town to town and share the gospel, they've got to know you, they got to like you, they got to trust you, got to serve you. So that comes, I think it's interesting that those are 2 biblical principles, but it also applies in sales in a huge way. Let me ask you more of a tactical question.
Yeah.
So you're talking with someone and you can tell as a salesperson that that the prospect is being guarded. They're not answering questions, or they're going 1-2 word answers. They're a little guarded. They're still open to having the conversation. There's some people that are just shut down and they're guarded. But I'm talking they're open, but they're being guarded. They're not being. How do you break through that as a salesperson?
So let me tell you this, because it's funny when you're going to ask that question. I knew that was the question you're going to ask, and I was like, he's already asking the wrong question. Why? And I'll tell you why. Because it's about the setup in the front of the call. So if you set up the call properly, you don't have that problem. And if you do have that problem, you can always tie them back to the beginning. What I mean by that is, hey, we're going to be, Jason, Kayvon here, blah, 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 right? We're talking. I just want to let you know, during the next 45 minutes, I'm going to be probably asking you some questions, maybe in questions that might, throw you off a little bit or might be uncomfortable, but I'm going to ask you to really step in, because that's the only way that I'm going to be able to see if this is the right fit for you. How does that sound?
And what do they say when they say
that? Dude, I've taken, again, my company's taken over 200,000 book calls. And never once has someone said no. And if they do, guess what? The ABC? No. Bye. Because if you're going to be that hard now, what's it going to be like when I'm working with you or when you're working with my client? No, thanks. See, this is another thing, is you don't close everybody. You close the right somebody. In order to be effective, you need to be selective, especially in what we do, as you know, in high ticket sales. So I'm not talking about low, gadgets and widgets and all that stuff. I'm talking about high ticket services where people are paying you $10, $15, $50, $100,000 for you to give them a service. You can't help everybody. You got to help the right somebody. So I want to get back to that question. So when I set that up, and then, yes, it has happened where then I'm asking questions and they are being guarded. But guess what? I got a place to go now. Now I say, whoa. Hey, Jason, remember earlier when I said I'm going to be asking you some deeper questions, little questions you might not want to ask? Like, this is that time right now. Well, what's going on? You hear how my tone dropped? And then I go, what's going on? And I go, wait, man, you're not giving me the answers I need so I can sell you. No, because I care about you. What's going on, man? What are you holding back? Where else are you holding back in your life?
What do you find that prospects say when you do that? Because I have some interesting scenarios where I've done that before, where I call them out. And part of I think good sales training would be telling the salesperson, you have to call the prospect out when they're not being honest with you. So what are your responses? What do you generally see when you call them out like?
Let's take a quick break to thank our amazing sponsors for making this podcast possible.
Hey listeners, a quick message here about something that's been a game changer for my business, and that is Dubb, spelled D-U-B-B. I have been a loyal user of Dubb since they started. I think it was back in 2017, 2018. And I can't say enough good things about their video email platform. With Dubb, I can send personalized video emails that let my energy come through, making every message more engaging. And whether I'm introducing myself to a prospect, connecting people, which is one cool thing that I do with it, or sharing important updates with my clients, Dubb makes it easy and effective. It brings the personal back to sales. Now, here's the best part. They are one of my sponsors of this podcast, and without them, I wouldn't be able to bring this amazing content I bring to you every single week. Because they're a sponsor here, they're offering a special deal just for my listeners. You can head over to therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb. That's therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb, and that's D-U-B-B. And you're going to get 50% off your first 2 months. This is your chance to revolutionize your email game and your video game. Trust me, Dubb has closed more deals for me than anything else. Give it a try. See the difference.
Thanks for listening to our sponsors. Now, back to the show.
I can't think of a time, and I'm not going to, 200,000 book calls. Maybe one person might be like, nah, this isn't for me, which is a great learning experience. Because what are the 3 outcomes you get in a call? You get a yes, you get a no. What do you get? What's the third one?
Not now.
It's not a maybe. It's not a now. It's a learning experience.
Oh, that's true.
A lesson.
For the salesperson, for sure.
You get a lesson, right? So from from that perspective, you get that lesson. But truly, when I do it, here's the thing. It goes back to this. We're getting right into it now. It goes back to the fundamental rule of sales, which I say is a human connection. But the human connection isn't just my connection with the prospect. The first connection is a connection with yourself. And if you, as a salesperson, because everything you get is direct reflection of the results of the inside. If you, as a salesperson, are not committed and don't have that conviction and don't have that belief and don't understand why you're actually there. See, I don't do sales Monday to Friday. I am sales. I put on that cape when I was 18 and I've never taken it off. Most salespeople act like salespeople Monday to Friday. On Friday, they take the cape off. They go do something with their families. They go do something with their friends. They go party. They go drink. They do whatever. They go to the gym. Who cares? Living a house lifestyle. But the reality is they've taken that cape off. But yet they wonder why they're never going to be great. Once you put that cape on, you never take it off. And you understand as a salesperson that the way you operate, the energy you come from is going to determine the entire sale. So if I got stuff going on and then I ask that question, well, hey man, what's going on? You're not asking you're not answering my questions. What do you think the energy is going to be if I'm not in alignment and connected with who I am as a person? Do you think it's going to be a successful question to ask? Probably not. But because I'm so connected and because I know why I'm here to help you. I'm actually here. This isn't just some script where I'm saying I'm just trying to figure out if you're the right fit. Those are just words. Those words mean something to me. I'm actually trying to figure out, can we support you? Can we help you? Because I live in a world of abundance. If I can't help you, that's okay. I know there's going to be someone who's going to help you. But next, because I want to be speaking to the people I can help.
I heard someone define a sale as when two people agree on the truth of what's being presented. What do you think about that?
I love that. And I also define a sale as you've made a decision. A sale is you've made a decision. It's a yes or no. It doesn't matter if it's a no. It's a decision.
Yeah. So by that definition, you could close someone as long as they give you a firm no.
You can close someone as long as they've given you a definite decision. Because sometimes you can close on, like, perfect example. I've closed people to not buy from me. They wanted to give me their money because they were in such desperation and the marketing was so good that they thought that this was going to be the holy savior of their lives. And I said, no. Well, I want to give you the money. No. Because what's going to happen is you're going to give me the money and you're going to go back and do the same thing you've been doing for the last 6 years. And that's absolutely nothing. And I'm not going to be that person that takes your money. So here's what we are going to do. And then I coached them on what they needed to do. Because again, like, long story short, this person was living on his brother-in-law's couch. His son just got put to jail and his daughter was dancing for dollars. And I'm not talking about the ballet. Do you think a guy in that space has the ability, the mindset to be able to build a business right now, to invest No, not at all. Go get a job, right? And he was jobless, obviously, right? Like, go get a job, get your stability, figure out those things in your life, and then come back to us. Because I'm not going to take your last $9. Most salespeople would.
And that's why sales is evil.
That's why sales is evil.
So you built you went from bankruptcy to building a $38 million company in just
bankruptcy twice, but the first one was the scariest one. That was when I was standing in line 7 days away from bankruptcy. And instead of saying yes, signing the papers, long story short, I went back and I asked the questions like, what am I supposed to do? Got a mentor. Mentor basically put me in the right direction. Basically just said, you're a salesperson. Well, thanks tips. I've been a salesperson all my life. Now, what he showed me, which I didn't know, is this world of high ticket sales. So I knew sales, but I didn't know that this world of high ticket sales existed. I got into it within a day. Within a day of him telling me, the next day I got a job because I know how to sell myself. And 30 days later, I was making $25,000 a month. Now, before that, I was losing $25,000 a month because I was trying to build a brand. So marketing, the Facebook ads, the integration, all the stuff that goes into online businesses. Losing $25K, making $25K, zero expenses. 2 months later, like 30K, it was like 35, 40. 3 months later, I was making like 50K a month individually as a sole salesperson. Then that mentor came to me and said, I've taught people a lot of this and nobody's done what you've done. Do you think we can teach this together? I said, hell yeah, man, let's go. Let's go. And needless to say, 18 months later, we were a $38 million company. We were the first ones to actually redefine the high ticket closer. The whole program we had was called HTC. And we, at that point, had trained over 10,000 students in 101 different countries. We took the industry by storm. And then as things happen to people when they get successful, they make, poor decisions. And
so what
those
happened?
poor decisions, blow up the company, and then you got to start all over again.
So almost bankrupt, 38 million.
Yeah. And then basically bankrupt again.
So what happened?
In that story?
Yeah.
Let's just say the mentor was not a real mentor in the end, and decided again that he had a God. I'm going to say he had a God complex. I'll just leave it there. And it destroyed the entire company. I'll tell you exactly what happened in an indirect way. I called him after our third cohort. We were doing like a 7-week cohort. I noticed that we were training these people, but they weren't getting the real sales side of it. They were getting the mindset, they're getting all this other stuff, but they didn't have like that sales acumen. So I went to him and I said, dude, we got a problem. What's the problem? I said, we need to start teaching more sales stuff. And I'm going to teach it, but we need to get this into the curriculum like ASAP, because these people are going out to the market and they're starting to make us look bad. And I'll never forget, this is the turning point. You don't get it, do you? Get what? These people don't actually want to be salespeople. They want others to think they're salespeople. Here I am busting my balls trying to create like real salespeople and real opportunity, show people what I went through so they can quit their 9 to 5 and make 10, 15, 20K anywhere they want in the world, sitting at their house, sitting on a boat. I was making calls from a boat. I was making calls everywhere just to prove that it was doable. And this entire time, he only cared about just taking their money, soaking their money. And those are just two fundamental different values for me. Everything went sideways from there.
So the plaque that you have on the wall behind you, tell me a little bit about
that plaque. Which one? There's two. The big one actually is an e-commerce company that we built from zero to we did over 15 million. But yeah, we did 0 to 15 million. That was about 2 years, two and a bit for an e-commerce company.
Wow. And so that came through. Was that ClickFunnels?
Yeah, yeah.
Man. So now with the Sales Connection, how long ago did you start that?
Sales Connection now is about, it's hard because my partner and I, we've been doing this because we started that first business with with the mentor and everything. We were the ones that helped build that whole thing. So we've been working together since 2017, but we came together as the Sales Connection late 2019, 20.
All right. So you've been doing this now under this particular brand and together formally for the last 5 years. And how's it going? Like what's going right now?
It's great. I mean, we've got to work with some of the industries, like the best in their industries, like the Mike Dillards and the Garrett Whites and the Tatiana Ladanos and Abdul and Chance, the Tom Wangs. The list goes on. So we got to work with some AAA players. And again, we've sold over. We did our numbers. We did over $375 million in sales for our clients. Taken over 200,000 book calls. Things are great. I mean, we're a boutique, so we only work again. I decided after I got out of like that business opportunity market that I wanted to get into the business of helping winners win more. So I didn't want to take. I'm just be honest. I'm not in the business of taking 2s and 3s to 7s. I wanted to take 7s to 8s and 8s to 9s and 9s to 10s. Again, being effective, being selective instead of just trying to help everybody. I want to help the right somebody.
So is your business model based on, hey, as long as you've got a good funnel running and you got calls that are being booked, we can take them, but you're not in the business of setting the funnel up to get the
So that's marketing, right? And people call us all the time for that. And because we've seen it work and we know exactly what works, we can do it, but we really try to stay in our lane. And in our lane is basically conversion. So lead conversion into sales. So anybody that, if the marketing's done right and if they get the email, you get the phone number, that's where we start. But if you can't get the phone number or email, then you can't afford us anyways. You don't want us. You're not ready for us. You're not even ready for a sales team. So I'll tell you something, because I think it's very important for people to understand this. If sales is hard, it's because marketing isn't doing their job. If marketing is hard, it's because the product and offer didn't do their job. It shouldn't be hard. Struggle, right?
So how do you fix the hard? How do you get the hard taken care of?
Well, you got to figure out where the holes are in the leaky bucket. There's a lot. There's a law of constraints, right? So you got to look at your entire sales process and see where things are falling off. And that starts all the way at the top, the marketing. Because here's the thing, if marketing is great, and then you could tell, impressions are good, opt-ins are good, conversion on whatever webinar, whatever it is, 5-day challenge is good, getting the book calls is good, quality of leads are good. But then obviously you're not making sales. Well, that's pretty okay. That's a sales problem. Okay, but what about this? Hey, we had 100 book calls this week and only 20 people showed up. Is that a sales problem or is that a marketing problem?
Yeah, it's an automation problem is what it sounds like.
Well, it is, but even then, if the prospect going through the lead, I hate the word prospect. I have a hard time with it because it's just again, it's not human, a prospect. I just don't like it. But if the lead is going through the funnel and the right funnel properly, meaning they trust you and they look at you as the authority and they want to work with you and they have a problem that they know that you can fix, why wouldn't they show up to the call? The only reason they're not showing up to the call is because they don't know you. Now, here's people like, well, then why would they book the call? Very simple. Very, very simple. Everyone has the bad day. And I was just think about this. You wake up on Monday and you hate your life. And on Tuesday, you're like, I don't know if I can do this. And Wednesday comes hump day, right? So hump day comes, you're like, I can get through this. Thursday night comes around, you go out with your friends, you start drinking. Friday's here, who gives a shit? And you're on, and now I'm here for the weekend. Life's good all of a sudden. But then Sunday comes. And all of a sudden, Sunday, you're like, I can't believe I got to go to work again on Monday. So what do? I go scrolling online to see how I can change my life. And up pops all these ads. And I'm in a state in that moment where I'm willing to change my life because I can't even think about going to work on Monday. And I go and plug in my information into something that I didn't even really look at because I'm not actually committed to anything because I'm just committed to everything instead of one thing. And then I put my information in and boom, Monday comes around and now I'm in work and I'm going, I forgot about that. No, I got to get to work. Work's not that bad. It's Monday. I got to do this. I can't think about changing this. I got bills to pay. I'm so stuck in my own ways. I can't think about doing something different. God forbid you go outside your comfort zone for a little bit. And that's why you get no-shows. Because I'll tell you this, it's funny. The only no-shows like that I believe that are real are ones that are real business owners that are sometimes busy or things actually pop up. But you know what? They let you know, they reschedule and they show up the second call. Versus the ones where they put in the information and you call out to them, they don't answer. You email them, they don't answer. You text them, they don't answer. You wait 24 hours. You do that all over again. You wait another 24 hours. So now you're 48 hours. You do that all over again and nothing. And marketing sits there and goes, oh, salespeople aren't doing their job. No, there's a problem. There's a problem.
All right. So let me ask you this. So you've been extremely successful, very, very clear that you've come from
extremely successful, but
hey, building a $38 million company in 18 months, regardless of what happened at the end, that is a success story. And booking and driving $380 million in sales is successful. 200,000 book calls successful. So what is, if you had to look back, Kayvon, and say, this is the one thing that allowed me to be successful, that unlocked success for me, what would that one thing be?
My resilience, the resilience. Absolutely. There are so many days that I wanted to quit and I want to throw in the towel, give up, just accept failure. And I never do. I'm so stubborn and my vision of the best version of that I want to become is so strong. It's stronger than me giving up.
Resilience.
The resilience. That's it. Because it's not tactics. Tactics you can learn. Tactics you can read. Tactics you can trial. It's not the right idea. Now here's the thing. The difference between going from 10 million to 100 million or 100 million to a unicorn status, that is the right timing. That's the right strategy. Maybe there's little nuances there. But to build a $5 million, $10 million company, it's hard. It's consistent hard work. It's freaking painful. No one talks about how painful it is. They all talk about how easy. I work one day a week. No. I'm talking when I was starting out, even with that company, we were doing 38 million. I was doing 100 hours a week. Like I was putting everything on the line, my health on the line, my relationships on the line. I was going for it, but I was willing to do that because I believe that my first mentor said this to me, and I'll never forget it. Okay, well, what are you willing to do in the next 3 to 5 years that most people won't in order to live a life most people will never have? And it's always just sat in my brain. And I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to be resilient. I'm willing to go against the norm. I'm willing to not look for the validation of mommy and daddy. Most people are looking for validation of their mom and dad, but look at your mom and dad's life. Do you want their lives? Even if they are successful, don't you want a better, more successful life than them? Resilience.
So how do you define success?
I knew you were going to ask that. I just knew that was the next question coming. How do you define success? And I want to tell you this. I truly believe success is so subjective. It's very subjective, and it's the eye of the person. And for me, I'll be honest, I have a hard time answering that because I'm one of those guys where my goalpost moves. So if you ask me what success was when I was 20, I'm living it right now. Like beyond it. Like never thought it was even possible. But now that I'm living this life, I'm sitting here going, instead of saying, I'm being honest, right? Oh, I'm so successful and I'm so happy I got here. I'm going, damn, man, those are small dreams I had. I got to keep going. So I keep moving my goalpost, right? I think true success is one thing, and it's, are you happy? Are you internally happy?
So with that as a definition, do you consider yourself to be successful?
Working on it. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I'm working on it. Now, for me to say I'm happy and life's perfect, no, it's a lie, man. I got lots going on. I got 2 kids under the age of 3, right? I'm like I got a business. I got multiple clients. Lots going on.
So let me give you the opportunity to put your advisor, coach, consultant hat on. So you've got an audience of entrepreneurs listening to you right now, watching you on YouTube, wherever they happen to be engaged with the show. And they're looking at you as somebody who's done what we've listed. You've bankrupted $38 million and back again and then back, right? So you've been through the cycle. You've booked over $380 million in sales. You've got 200,000 booked calls. All right. What do they need to do? What's your one piece of advice? And you can't say be resilient. You already talked about that.
I get that.
Besides that, what's your one piece of advice that you give them to be successful?
Understand what I call the wealth triangle. So long story short, wealth triangle is 3 parts. First part is high income skill. Second part is a business. And the end of it is investments. Most people have no money. They have no resources. All they think about is, mailbox money, investments. You can't invest what you don't have. So you got to go all the way back to number 1. And that is create a high income skill. High income skill today is anything that you can do for somebody where you can create $10,000 to $15,000 consistently month after month. That is, to me, is a high income skill. Sales is a high income skill. Copywriting is a high income skill. As you know, marketing strategy is a high income skill. People are going to pay me for that service. Figure out which one is yours. Sales might not be it, copywriting not be it, but figure out which one is yours. Once you figure out that high income skill, then you go build a business around it. And then from there, you use the profits from your business for your investments.
That's really good. I don't think anybody's ever put it that way, man. So let me kind of recap that. High income skill, whatever that skill is, build a business around that where you get the income, and then take the income and leverage into investments.
Which I call the wealth triangle.
That's really smart. Kayvon.
Yeah. That's the best advice I give, because people, like, if you're talking about, brand new entrepreneur, there are so many things you can do, especially today. And you get bombarded. You got to go figure out that one thing that's in your core genius, and you go after it like no other. You become the best in the world at it. And then you build a business around that.
So if you want to follow Kayvon, you want to check him out, he's at Kayvon, that's Kayvon, Kayvon.com, or thesalesconnection.com to check him out. So if you've got a high ticket offer and you want somebody to kind of be on your team to help you close those deals and take those leads through the process, reach out to them at thesalesconnection.com. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Kayvon Kay. That's Kayvon Kay, Kayvon Kay, at any of those platforms. Kayvon, this has been a really great conversation about sales and how sales is evil, but we can we can use our superpowers for good. We don't have to be evil. We can use them for good. So thank you for sharing that insight, man. And congratulations on your success, dude.
I appreciate it.
This is great. I'm going to give you the last word. What would you like to say to the audience before we close out today?
Love many, trust few, but always paddle your own canoe.
That is so fantastic. Kayvon, thanks for being on the show, man. All right. Well, there you have it. Another successful entrepreneur about how he built and has sustained a very successful business in the sales world, even though he believes that sales is evil. Isn't that interesting? So what are you doing to build your wealth triangle? I want to kind of harp on that just for a second. This high income skill, what do you have? Is it sales? Is it copywriting? Is it creative? Is it web design? What is it that you have that's a high income skill? Go build a business around that high income skill. And then for the love of, listen, don't go buy Lambos and yachts. Take that and buy investments, buy assets. This is what he's talking about, this wealth triangle. This was really, really genius. So make sure you tune in again next time when I talk with another successful entrepreneur, successful athlete, actor, influencer, whoever it is that's going to be on my show next time about how they built their success. Make sure you tune in. You don't want to miss what's going to happen next on The Root of All Success. I am, as always, the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.